rope appeared by my bedroom window the same afternoon. A stranger vanished from our game of manhunt, and 2 nights later I woke up to something scratching at the glass, inches from my face. If stories like this keep you up at night, hit subscribe, because my dad still says the kid isn't welcome anywhere near our house again. It was a hot Saturday afternoon last July. I was 14 at the time, living out in rural Pennsylvania. My backyard is huge, acres of open grass, trees, and an old storage shed at the edge of the property. My friends and I practically lived out there every summer. That day it was me, Ryan, Josh, and Adam. We played basketball for about an hour at the hoop my dad put up near the garage, then sat down in the grass, sweaty, drinking water. That's when we noticed a kid we didn't recognize walking up from the dirt road that runs past my house. Looked about 16, older and taller than the rest of us, messy black hair, wearing a gray shirt and jeans despite the heat. We all went quiet as he approached. He walked right up like he already knew us, asked if we wanted to even the teams out for 3-on-3. Nobody answered right away. Finally, Adam asked who he was. He said his name was Keith, said he lived just up the road, and had been walking through the woods when he spotted us. I'd lived there my entire life, and never once seen this kid, neither had my friends, but he seemed normal enough on the surface. Someone asked if he wanted to play basketball. Keith shook his head and suggested manhunt instead. Said my yard was perfect for it with all the hiding spots. None of us thought twice about that comment in the moment. Still, we agreed. Sounded more fun than standing around in the heat. We split into teams. Keith immediately volunteered to hunt first, said he loved being the seeker. So it was Keith, Adam, and Josh hunting while me, Ryan, and Ben scattered to hide. I ducked into the storage shed, always smelling like gasoline and old wood, found a pile of folded tarps in the corner, and climbed under one. I stayed still under there for what felt like forever before the shed door finally creaked open and the tarp got yanked off in one motion. Adam's smiling face greeted me. Obvious spot, I guess. A few minutes later, Ben showed up, caught too. Then Adam and Josh walked back. We all stood around drinking water. He never did. Adam eventually shrugged it off, figured he was just some weird kid who left. The rest of us agreed, even though it fell off that he'd vanished without a word. Everyone left around sunset. I went inside, and that's when I noticed something strange near my bedroom window. A piece of rope lying in the grass. Weathered, dirty, like it had been sitting outside for months, except I knew for a fact it hadn't been there earlier that day. I picked it up, tossed it aside, but couldn't stop thinking about it. My mind kept going back to Keith. I told myself I was overthinking things. Later that evening, I couldn't shake the thought that he might have slipped inside the house while we were distracted playing. My dad usually leaves one of the side doors unlocked during the day. I went room by room, checked closets, checked under beds. Nothing. I went to bed around 11, scrolled on my phone for maybe an hour, then heard something. Soft footsteps outside my door. I froze completely. My dad gets up sometimes at night, but he always coughs or clears his throat first. This was quiet, too quiet. I called out for him. No answer. My pulse was racing as I sat up. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. I got up, locked it, and stood there staring at the handle, waiting. About 30 seconds later, I heard the front door shut, the sound carrying through the whole house. I ran straight to my dad's room and shook him awake. Explained everything as fast as I could. He didn't doubt me for a second, grabbed the shotgun from under his bed, told me to stay close. We searched the entire house together, every closet, the basement, the garage. He walked the whole property outside with a flashlight. Found nothing. We locked every door and window after that. The next day I told my friends everything. They laughed it off, figured Keith was just some weirdo passing through, but Ryan admitted he'd found Keith strange too, barely talked during the game, mostly just stared at everyone. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m, a scratching sound woke me up, coming from my bedroom window. I froze, staring at the blinds. Slow, deliberate scratching, like a stick or a nail dragging against the glass. I didn't want to look. I looked anyway, bending one blind open just a crack. On the other side of the glass, inches away, stood a figure. I couldn't make out a face, just the shape of someone standing there in the dark. I jumped back and screamed for my dad. He was outside with the shotgun before I even finished explaining, firing 2 rounds into the air, shouting that he'd shoot whoever was out there if they ever came back. By the time I looked again, the figure at the window was gone. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Sat in the living room with every light on while my dad stayed up too. The next morning he told me he was convinced Keith had been behind all of it. Said if that kid ever showed his face around our property again, he'd deal with it himself. He wasn't fully serious about that last part. That's just how my dad talks when he's angry. But he made it very clear Keith wasn't welcome anywhere near our house ever again. As far as I know, Keith never came back. But sometimes, when I'm outside at night, I still think about that rope by my window, and I wonder exactly what he might have been planning if I hadn't woken up when I did. What stays with me most from that week isn't just the fear of it. It's how something can seem harmless right up until the moment it clearly isn't, and how important it is to trust that shift in your gut the second you feel it, instead of talking yourself out of it the way we all did that afternoon.